Hi everyone, welcome to another knitting video. I'm very excited about this one because in today's video I am presenting you my new pattern. Well, newish. When this video is released, it's been out a couple of months, but it's relatively new. It is the A Touch of Flower summer top and I'm wearing the prototype right now. And you may recognize this because I actually started working on this one on my holiday in Croatia last year, so in June 2024. And I filmed kind of the process of knitting it while I was on holiday, so it wasn't very detailed, but just to give you an idea. And since then I've been working on actually writing out the pattern, making all the charts for every single size, and it's now ready to be released, or it was ready to be released a couple of months ago. And today I just wanted to talk you through the whole process of knitting one of these, and for that I will be starting a new one. Now this top is a kind of cropped top. As you can tell, it hits around the waist and it has a design of contrasting purl stitches that create flower shapes. It's pretty subtle depending on what color you go for. On this black one it's really subtle, and on the listing image of the pattern you can tell that if you go for a lighter color it's way more pronounced. Anyway, like I said, the pattern is out. I will link it in the description below. It's available on both Ravelry and Etsy. But let's just get started. I'm using drops, I don't remember which color. I will put it on the screen. And I'm just going to start by casting on the stitches that I need for my size. And I like to use the German twisted cast on for something like this because it's pretty stretchy, but there's almost no flare, and I need it to be stretchy for something that's fitted around the waist and has no like closure or anything. So you have to just pull it over your head. So stretchy cast on it is. Then once I was done casting on, it was time to join it in a round, because this whole top is worked in the round up until we get to like this point. So the top pieces are going to be knit flat, obviously. Now you may see that there's a little piece of yarn dangling. And that's because I ran out of my yarn tail for the cast on, which happens almost always. I'm really bad at gauging how much yarn I need for a cast on. Anyway, we are just going to solve that by weaving in that little yarn tail later. But first we are working around. So join in a round and place a marker for the beginning of the round, M1. That's going to be one of the sides. Then it's time to work 6 rounds of garter stitch. So a round knit, a round purl, and then repeat it until you have done 6 rounds. I like doing a garter stitch hem for summer stuff. For winter I use the traditional ribbing, but for summer I kind of like the look of a garter stitch. And it functions in the same way as a rib. It will stop the edges from curling. Now it's time to get your chart. So just find the one for your size. Some of them are split up in 2 parts, so you'll have to piece them together kind of. But just get your chart, and we are just going to work the chart until we get to the end. So what I like to do is just place stitch markers along the dotted lines, and the dotted lines are kind of showing where one pattern repeat is, so one entire flower. It just helps with counting along the way. So here you can see that I already worked up until the first dotted line, so I placed a marker. Then I worked, in my case, 6 knit stitches until I came to the purl stitches. That will be different for each size because the placement of the flowers is a little bit different for each size. In my case I had to knit 6 stitches. Then it's time for the purl stitches, and I like to use combination knitting for that. So I wrap the yarn clockwise, and then on the next round I will work the stitch in the back loop. I just really like it for stuff like this where you have a bunch of purl stitches and knit stitches next to each other, and it helps make it look a little bit more clean. Then I work up until the next dotted line, then place another marker, and then work the way to the end of the chart. And when I reach the end of the chart I will place another marker for the side. So the first half that we worked is actually going to be the back, and then we are going to repeat that first row of the chart for the other half of the stitches. That will be the front. So we're going to repeat each row twice, once for the back and once for the front. And now we just keep going until we get to our first increase round. Now you can see on the chart little icons for make one left and make one right, which means we've reached the increase round. So what we do for that is, well, we just follow the chart, which is helpful. So we start one stitch after the marker, and we do a make one left. So I pick up the bar between the stitches front to back, and then I knit through the back loop. The kind of way to remember this is that if you make one left, you need to pick up the stitch so that it slants up to whichever way you want to go. And then to remember which loop to knit or purl through, just the most difficult one, really. So after we've done that, we just follow the rest of the chart so we get to one stitch before the next marker. There we do a make one right. So this time we are picking up the bar back to front, and then we're knitting through the front loop. And then we repeat that for the second half. So another make one left, one stitch after the marker, and another make one right, one stitch before the next mark. So now that we've talked through everything that's happening really in this chart, you can just work your way through the entire chart. Just keep increasing when the chart tells you to, and then we get to the top edge. That's when things will get a little bit different. Once you reach the final row of the chart, you just work the first half as normal, so that's the back. Then on the second half, just keep working until you reach the arrow, and from that point on you're going to start casting off. So cast off the stitches until the next marker. Then remove that marker, then cast off all the stitches up until the next marker, so that's the entire back. And then another, in my case, 4 stitches. That depends on the size you're making, so look at the instructions for that. And we've now switched from working in rounds to working flat. We are first going to work chart B1 on the remaining stitches. And because we switched from working in rounds to working flat, we now read the chart right to left for the right side rows and left to right for the wrong side rows. And just remember to keep the knit and purl stitches the right way, if that makes sense. Now, once the B1 is finished, we are going to work on B2, which is going to be the left top. And when I say left top, it's from the wearer's perspective. So these will be worked on the first half of the stitches, and you start with a right side row. So just work that chart, decrease whenever you need to, and the decreases are combinations of knit 2 togethers and slip slip knit. Leave the second half on a spare needle, or what I like to do is just keep them on my circular needles that I'm working with. It's convenience. And here you can see kind of the divide happen between the left and right sides. You can see that the side that we're working on is growing, the other one is not, obviously. And here you can also see the decreasing that we're doing to shape the top. And the decreasing happens 2 stitches removed from the edge. So we always have an edge of 2 knit stitches along the sides. That creates a really nice clean edge. Then once you're done with the chart, you have 5 stitches left. And what I actually would recommend doing, and what the pattern tells you to do, is to work the strap now. For the video, I'm not doing that. I'm going to put these stitches on some scrap yarn, and we are going to work the other top first. So to work the other side, I just rejoined the yarn and followed chart B3. Now we are going to work on the straps, and if you just work them when you're supposed to, you don't need to do this step, but I just picked up the stitches from the scrap yarn and I had to rejoin the yarn. And I'm now using double pointed needles for this instead of circular needles. You can do it on circular needles, but it's just annoying, so I'd recommend double pointed needles. And then I just started working a I-cord. And I do this by moving the stitches to the end of the needle and working them, starting with the stitch that doesn't have the yarn attached, if that makes sense. Then once you've worked those 5 stitches, move the right needle back to the left hand, move the stitches all the way to the right end of the needle again, and just knit them again, and just repeat that over and over and over. And that's how you're kind of knitting around on a smaller scale. So as you can see here, you kind of end up with a tube of knitting. To just continue doing this until you've made your strap long enough, I did recommend a length in the pattern, but just try it on and see how long it needs to be for you, because everyone's different. So I recommend trying it on and then just making it 1 centimeter longer than you need it to be, because you will use that centimeter to attach it to the back of the top. Then once the strap was long enough, I pulled the yarn through the 5 stitches on the needle to bind them off. And then I sewed the edge to the back. Again, try it on to find the right placement and then just secure it into place really well. Now, normally I keep a really long yarn tail for this. This time I forgot, so I had to rejoin the yarn. But what I like to do is use that long yarn tail and pull it through the center of the I-cord strap all the way back to the front. Just find the center with your tapestry needle and go all the way through it. Should be pretty easy. Once I reach the front, just make sure it's not too tight. So just kind of stretch it out so that it's the right length. Secure it into place on the front. And then I pull it back through the I-cord strap to the back. And again, make sure it's not too tight, and then secure it into place there. And I like doing this to make sure that the strap doesn't stretch out over time, because an I-cord is stretchy, but I don't want my straps to be stretchy. So having this extra yarn inside there kind of helps keep it shape and length. And with that, it's done. So let's try it on and see what it looks like. And there we have it, the finished 8-touch flower stop in a different color than this one. So now I have 2, which is really fun. I like some variety. And I'm just really proud of it. I think it looks really cute. It's really wearable in my opinion. I will definitely be wearing it a lot. I have been wearing this one a lot over the past year. So I will definitely also get a lot of use out of this one. And like I said, the pattern is available on both Etsy and Ravelry, so I will link it below. So if you are interested in making this one, you can find the pattern there. I really enjoyed making this one twice and I really enjoyed making the pattern as well. So it's a win-win for me. Anyway, I'm going to end this here now. Thank you for watching. I hope you have a great day and I will see you in the next one. Bye.